Good morning. This is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. It's Monday, March 2nd, 2026. Today, OpenAI's massive funding round and what it means for cloud power, Nvidia's push to make inference faster, and a fresh challenge from DeepSeek. I've got Orion with me. Ready?
Ready, let's jump in.
The biggest story, AP News reported on February 27th that OpenAI landed $110 billion in new funding commitments led by Amazon. What's actually in this deal?
OpenAI says it's $110 billion total at a $730 billion pre-money valuation. Amazon commits $50 billion, 15 up front, plus 35 tied to conditions. SoftBank and Nvidia each commit $30 billion. It's a scale and infrastructure bet, not a nice runway round.
And Amazon isn't just writing checks, they're getting cloud positioning too, right?
Yes, OpenAI said Amazon Web Services becomes the exclusive third-party cloud provider for OpenAI Frontier, and the companies expand their infrastructure partnership. Translation: if Frontier shows up outside OpenAI's own hosting, Amazon wants to be the lane it drives in.
Does this change the power dynamics with everyone else in the AI stack?
It pushes toward a world where frontier models, chips, and clouds negotiate as one package. When the round includes Amazon and Nvidia, you can almost hear procurement teams sweating, politely, in spreadsheets.
So how does Microsoft fit after that? On February 27th, the official Microsoft blog published a joint statement with OpenAI reaffirming partnership terms. What did they lock down?
They say the intellectual property relationship and the commercial revenue share terms are unchanged. Azure remains the exclusive cloud provider for stateless OpenAI APIs, and any stateless API calls that come via OpenAI collaborations, even with third parties, still run on Azure.
People heard Amazon exclusive for Frontier and assumed a breakup. Is that what's happening?
Not from this statement. It also says OpenAI first-party products, including Frontier, will continue to be hosted on Azure. The clean way to read it: Azure stays the home base. Amazon gets exclusivity when Frontier is offered as a third-party cloud channel.
So less soap opera, more contract architecture.
Exactly, this is who runs what workloads being clarified in public, because the stakes and the invoices are now enormous.
On February 28th, Reuters, citing a Wall Street Journal report, said Nvidia plans a new inference-focused processor platform for customers, including OpenAI, expected to be unveiled at GTC in San Jose. What's notable here?
Inference is where most AI usage costs lives. Every chatbot reply, every agent step. The report says Nvidia's platform targets speeding that up, and it may incorporate a chip designed by Groq, the startup known for low-latency LPU-style inference hardware.
If this is real, what changes for buyers beyond faster tokens?
It could shift the unit economics. Faster inference can mean either cheaper answers or the same cost for richer models and longer context. And if Nvidia is bundling platform plus partner silicon, it's aiming to own the full inference lane, not just sell GPUs.
So inference is the new battleground.
Yes, training gets headlines, inference pays the electric bill.
Shifting to models, the Financial Times reported on February 28th that DeepSeek is preparing to release its next major model, V4, described as multimodal, including text, images, and video. Why is this a big deal?
DeepSeek has been one of the most credible non-US challengers, and this is framed as its first major update since early 2025. Multimodal, especially video, is expensive and technically tricky, so even a good enough V4 raises competitive pressure on US labs.
The report also mentioned export controls and chips. What's the angle there?
Financial Times says DeepSeek collaborated with domestic chip makers to optimize for Chinese hardware because US export controls restrict access to advanced Nvidia AI chips. If they can deliver strong performance on local silicon, that's a strategic workaround, not just a model update.
So, the competition isn't only model to model, it's supply chain to supply chain.
Right? The fastest model isn't helpful if you can't get the compute.
Now to the labor shakeup. Reuters reported on February 27th that payments company will cut more than 4,000 jobs, nearly half its workforce, as it overhauls operations to embed AI tools. What did the market think?
Shares jumped per Reuters. Investors are rewarding AI productivity stories, even when they're painful. Block is basically saying, we're redesigning how work gets done, and AI is central across operations, product, and support.
Is this about replacing people with bots or changing the workflow?
Both can be true. The announcement signals a top-down operating model change, fewer roles, more automation, and likely heavier use of internal copilots and agent-like tooling. It's also a warning shot to peers. Fintech margins won't wait for eventually.
This is one of those stories that makes everyone recheck their org chart.
And their process docs, because AI tends to replace messy processes first, not just people.
On February 27th, the Washington Post detailed a widening standoff between Anthropic and the Pentagon, plus CEO Dario Amodei's first public comments on red lines. What's the core dispute?
The Post says it's about how Claude could be used in extreme military scenarios and whether the government can compel broader use. Amodei's public stance, no use for fully autonomous weapons, and no mass surveillance of Americans, because today's systems aren't reliable for lethal autonomy, and surveillance law is inadequate for AI.
Did the report suggest this is just a values statement or a contractual fight?
Both. The Post describes the Pentagon setting a deadline and floating escalation options, while Anthropic disputes how key conversations were characterized. This is the new frontier, model providers acting like regulated defense contractors, but without the old, settled rules.
And it won't be the last company to get pulled into that.
No, because governments want capability now, and labs want boundaries that won't haunt them later.
All right, let's do a few quick hits, starting with jobs and the broader trend around AI adoption.
Reuters ran a February 27th fact box on job cuts as investment shifts toward AI, citing Goldman Sachs estimates of 5,000 to 10,000 monthly net job losses last year in the most automation-exposed U.S. industries, and AI as 7% of planned layoffs in January.
Staying on building blocks, what else moved in enterprise infrastructure?
On February 27th, CRN reported AMD committing $250 million to Nutanix for full-stack agentic AI infrastructure, $150 million in stock, plus up to $100 million for joint engineering and go-to-market. Also, Nokia said on March 1st via Globe Newswire it's expanding AI RAN work with Nvidia, citing tests and operator traction, including T-Mobile and Vodafone.
And on the AI meets the physical world side, plus a couple consumer updates?
BMW said in a February 27th press release it'll pilot humanoid robots at its Leipzig plant for tasks like high-voltage battery assembly, and it's forming a physical AI competence center. Google announced February 27th updates. Nano Banana 2 image generation in Mina via the Gemini app and search, and a Gemini Flow to generate 30-second songs using Lyria 3.
Before we go, give me one benchmark note and one hardware or security note.
On February 27th, an RxEve paper proposed LemmaBench, a living math theorem benchmark. Authors report frontier models around 10 to 15% pass at 1. Live Science also wrote February 27th that Gemini 3 DeepThink hit 48.4% on humanity's last exam. Hardware-wise, Times Union on March 1st previewed Albany NanoTech prepping a high-NA EUV tool, and the Wall Street Journal on February 28th reported U.S. STEM agencies raised concerns about xAI's Groq even as Pentagon use advances.
That's the mix. OpenAI's $110 billion mega round reshaping cloud alliances, Nvidia pushing harder into inference platforms, DeepSeek gearing up a multimodal V4, and the very real workforce and policy aftershocks. If this helped you track the moving pieces, send it to a teammate who lives in strategy decks.
And if you're planning budgets, assume inference demand keeps climbing.